Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going? I wasn't planning on making a third video today, but something happened in the NFL that kind of got me thinking. And this event, which seemingly has nothing to do with the Seattle Seahawks, and it doesn't, got me thinking about something with this team. And I want to draw a little bit of a contrast here between these two organizations. And I kind of want to use it as an opportunity to point out one of the bigger overarching problems with this organization right now. So, earlier today, the New York Giants fired Jason Garrett as their offensive coordinator. And this is a move that on its surface has nothing to do with the Seattle Seahawks. And really, it doesn't have anything to do with the Seahawks even below the surface, right? It's not like I want Jason Garrett to be our head coach next year. I don't want Jason Garrett to be our offensive coordinator next year. I don't want Jason Garrett to be my Gatorade boy next year. So, no, it's nothing like that. But I started thinking about this and started thinking about what this represents, why the Giants did this, and then I compare and contrast that with the Seahawks. So, Jason Garrett got fired because he's done a really bad job since he got to New York. Since Jason Garrett arrived in New York as the offensive coordinator, the Giants have not had a single game where they scored more than 30 points. He's completely failed to develop players like Daniel Jones. And just in general, it's been one of the worst offenses in the league over the year and a half that he's been there. Now, these problems with the Giants' offense were true last year. They were true earlier this year. But you wouldn't necessarily fire somebody then, right? Because even though the Giants started this season out pretty badly, I think at one point they were 1-4. They might have been 1-5 at one point. I can't remember for sure. But even though they were bad and even though their offense was bad, the season was not over for them. They were in a bad division. The NFC was very top heavy. There was still an opportunity to make the playoffs. But now at 3-7 and at the bottom of a division that, by the way, isn't even that good, it's over. So now they can do things like this, and they can ignore the fact that Jason Garrett figuring things out is slightly more likely than a new guy coming in and figuring things out. So that doesn't matter anymore. It's too late for him to figure it out, so you can get him out of here. And maybe even more than just that. Jason Garrett got fired because somebody had to roll. Somebody had to get out of here because this team did have some expectations last year after what happened last season, that is, going into this season, and they haven't lived up to them. And particularly last night, that Monday night game in Tampa Bay, where the offense scored 10 points and 7 of those points were donated from the defense. So really, you put up 3 points. And you get blown out by 3 touchdowns against a Tampa Bay team that isn't even that healthy and didn't even play that well. So the logic is, we got to fire somebody. Let's just go with Jason Garrett because he's going to get fired eventually. Let's just do it now. It's a wake-up call to the rest of the team more than anything because you're not trying to save your season. You're not thinking that Freddie Kitchens is going to come in and do any better. In fact, there's a good chance Freddie Kitchens goes in there and does just as bad. But you're trying to get people's attention. You're trying to say, hey, he got fired. Anybody can get fired. Do your job. And I thought about all this, and I'm comparing it to the Seahawks' current situation because we both have the same record. The Giants and the Seahawks have the same record, 3-7. And we are at the bottom of our division, and our division is much better than the Giants' division. So if the Giants are out of the playoff race, which they are, then so are we, which we are. So what is true of the Giants' playoff odds is true of our playoff odds. And actually ours are probably a little bit worse just because of the division we play in. And beyond that, there were expectations for the Seahawks this year, but they were bigger than the Giants, right? The Giants hadn't been a good team in 5 years. They have had 5 straight pretty awful years. They kind of finished strong at the end last year and ended up going, what was it, 6-10? So they thought that this could be their year where they turn things around, but they were trying to turn things around to just be good. They would have been happy with 9 wins, 10 wins, maybe make the playoffs. They would have been cool with that. So they went all in, bringing in guys like Kadarius Toney and re-signing Leonard Williams and doing all these other things to go all in to try to get a winning team. We also went all in, or supposedly we did. I know we left money on the table, but theoretically we went all in, but our expectations were higher. We were trying to win the Super Bowl. We were trying to get to the Super Bowl at least. The Giants, they weren't really even thinking Super Bowl. They just wanted to make the playoffs. But both teams look about equally inept right now to me. So we seem to have fallen more short of our expectations than even the Giants. And as for somebody needing to go just because of how embarrassing the last Giants game was, what do you call the last Seahawks game? Home, must win, do or die against a division rival with a backup quarterback, no number one receiver, missing a starting offensive lineman, missing Chase Edmonds, missing J.J. Watt, and you get rolled in a game the Cardinals don't even really need to win that badly because the Packers lost, where it's not do or die for the Cardinals, and you basically get rolled. Yeah, I know we only lost by 10. I know the game was still competitive with 4 minutes left, but no, we got dominated that game, and Matt Prater decided he felt bad for us and missed a bunch of kicks to keep us in. So, I'm not falling for that scoreboard, and neither should you. Cardinals kicked our ass. So, the embarrassment's there too. Our season is just as over as the Giants. Our season is just as disappointing as the Giants. We are coming off a loss that is, as far as I'm concerned, just as embarrassing as what the Giants did. At least the Giants lost to a good team. At least the Giants lost on the road. No, not us. No. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Giants gave up, 19 first downs in the first half against Tampa Bay. That's atrocious. But at least they lost to a good team. At least it happened against a good team. We lost to a team with a good team, but they've got their backup quarterback out there. Like, what? With everything on the line? So, my question is, if the Giants can fire somebody for all these reasons, then why can't we? What makes us special? What makes us different? What makes us decide that, no, we don't need to send a wake-up call through the organization. No, we don't need to start cleaning house now. Does this team still think they can make the playoffs and would rather ride it out with the bad people that they have instead of the unknowns that could potentially be even worse behind them? Does this team still believe in all these guys and want to bring them all back next year? What is it? Why can't we fire somebody right now? We just got embarrassed, just like the Giants. Our season's over, just like the Giants. We're a huge disappointment, just like the Giants. What am I missing here? Okay? I understand that maybe you can't fire Pete Carroll because he's the head coach / GM, and at the very least you want to let him ride out the season, even if you are going to fire him after. I understand that maybe you don't want to fire Shane Waldron because he just got here. Ken Norton's the logical one. You could fire him probably, but it doesn't even have to be that. This is about a wake-up call. Fire an assistant. Fire somebody low on the totem pole. What do you have to lose? Autopilot. That's what this organization is in right now. They are in autopilot. That's why. That's the only way I can put it. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, that you can have that performance with your season on the line at home against a backup quarterback in Arizona, and you don't feel the need to fire anybody or bench anybody significant or do something just to say, hey, we know that's unacceptable. Somebody's head is going to roll. It doesn't even matter if you make everything better immediately. You're obviously not going to do that, but you get people's attention. You let them know that, hey, you could be next if you don't start doing your job. Why not get rid of a defensive back coach? Why not get rid of a defensive assistant or a defensive line coach or a strength and conditioning coach? Autopilot. This team has been on autopilot for a while now, as near as I can tell. They were in autopilot this offseason when they left $13 million on the table. They were in autopilot when the season was going bad and they didn't make a trade to try to save things. They were in autopilot when they didn't hit any of the free agents that they could have picked up to try to salvage the season. They're in autopilot with some of these game plans, as Lockett basically called out the other day. They're in autopilot when it comes to protecting Russell Wilson, maybe benching him because he's clearly shouldn't be out there and isn't helping this team win at all. Everything's just autopilot right now. That's the only way I can put it. That's the only way I can say it that makes any sense to me. This organization is on autopilot right now, and a team like the Giants, who have been maybe the worst team in the league over the last 5 years, worse than the Jets, definitely worse than the Browns, but worse than I don't even know who's second place behind the Jets and Giants. Like, that's 1A, 1B, and then there's like a whole bunch of crap between them and the next. But even the Giants, a pathetic organization like this that is at this point so used to losing, they probably don't even feel anything anymore. Even they know that it's time to hold people accountable. It's time to hand out some pink slips for multiple reasons. Not just because this guy sucks, you got to get him out, but because you got to hold someone accountable, because heads have to roll after a performance like that, and your season's over. So I ask again, why haven't the Seahawks fired anybody? They've had 2 days since that embarrassing game. It took the Giants less than one to get somebody out. So why not just kick Ken Norton out? What do you have to lose? Do you still believe in him? I'm going to ask it again. I kind of feel like you do. And that's why they all need to go. See you guys later in stream. Peace out. Go Hawks. What are you going to do?